So, where did I leave off? Yeah, that's right. I just found out that the one person on this godforsaken plot of land that I had considered to be on my side before Mark showed up is dead. That's right, folks. The lady in the tree wasn't mad at me. She wasn't ignoring me. She had been deceased for almost a year now. She's the only one who really provided me with the means to survive over the past 3 years. She gave me a gun with magic bullets. She gave me hearing in an ear that had been destroyed. She gave me antidotes, alcohol. I'm pretty sure she even did my laundry once. I also can't help but think that she had something to do with the fact that the spirit preacher couldn't possess me. The most important thing she gave me, though, was her trust. Based on the few times she had directly communicated with me, through letters, she had always alluded to the fact that I was supposed to be the one to help cleanse this land of the supposed darkness. Like I was the chosen one or some shit. Whether I'm actually special or not, though, she trusted me absolutely. And I failed. In her mind, I was battling these monsters and scaring them away from here. I was the hero she had been waiting on, for she couldn't fight the creatures directly due to some sort of oath. In reality, all I've done over the past 3 years was dick around and get lucky. I've never gone out looking to solve the monster problems around here. Even when I set the trap for Camo, that was purely selfish in reasoning. I was just annoyed by his constant attempts at trapping me. I didn't do it for the greater good of the land. Looking at my life, I've really never done much to serve anyone else but myself. Even the stuff I did after my dad was killed, I wasn't avenging him. I was getting revenge for me. I don't know why she ever decided that I was the one that would make things right. What instincts had told her that I was the man that would finally change something? I really wish she had never decided on me in the first place. Because that fact alone is why I typed this in my hospital bed. My throat is hurting and my lip is trembling. Actually, that might be the hospital food's fault. Not really sure at this point. Enough sad monologuing. Time to get back to what happened. Sonia had explained what to do, and I fully expected to get every ounce of useful intel from her. First question I needed answered was what the hell happened to the lady in the tree? Sonia, what happened to her? She looked at the ground. It was obvious that she was dreading having to explain this to me. She snuck into what was left of my shelter in the middle of the night after Skinny attacked the Ponderosa. She told me. At this, Mark, who seemed to materialize from nowhere, cut her off. Look, I understand you want to get right to the part where the tree lady died, but first there's some other questions that I need answers. Why did Skinny attack in the first place? Do you know where he came from? Do you know how to stop him? I turned to argue with Mark, because I was the one who wanted to get to the part where she died. But unfortunately, Mark was right. Yeah, as much as I want to hear about what became of the lady in the tree, we need to start from the beginning. Now, what was that part about you saying that some of these monsters popping up were your fault? I guess Mark hadn't heard that part of the previous conversation, because now he looked at me with surprise etched onto his face. Sonia was even slower to answer this time. Well, Cole, it wasn't my fault per se. You know how stubborn and persistent Hector can be, right? I didn't really like where this was going, but I had a pretty good idea. Yeah, I mean, he tried to kill me. What, 6 times, I think? Without thinking, Sonia replied. 9, but that's not what's important. What is important is that Hector has been trying to summon Cthulhu for years now, but in the last year, he's finally started having progress, sorta. Mark chimed in. What exactly does this progress consist of? The young cultist paused for a moment, deep in thought. Well, that attempts at summoning rituals started working, just not as we'd planned. Things were coming through the portals we created. Things weren't what we meant to summon, though. So far, we have summoned a 15-foot-tall cloaked tentacle man that has been kidnapping our brothers and sisters on a regular basis, until recently. The baby doll monster you both just saw, and a spirit that keeps creating minor inconveniences, like broken plates and shoelaces being stolen from their respective shoes. But this last thing we summoned, and by far the most vicious, was the shapeshifter. I could not believe what I was hearing. So let me get this straight. You people are responsible for the tall man, the ghost preacher bitch, that baby doll abomination, and Skinny? Was there ever a point where you thought, damn, these rituals aren't really helping us out very much, maybe we should stop? Sonia shrugged as she looked at me. This is Hector we're talking about. She had a point. Hector doesn't know when to quit. Mark decided to pipe up again. And what finally happened to convince you that these rituals were a bad idea? When the shapeshifter killed half of us, then only stopped after saying that it was going to take a nap and come back for the rest of us later. That's a pretty solid reason, I said after considering what she said. So was it during Skinny's nap that the lady in the tree came to talk to you? I asked. Yes, it was a few hours after the attack. The community was in absolute chaos while Hector tried to calm everyone down. I was in my shed trying to figure out what I absolutely needed to take with me when I fled. That's when I hear a woman whisper, "Hey," to me. It was her. I immediately knew she wasn't one of us because, well, she doesn't wear much in the way of clothes, and we are very strict about our dress code here. What did she want? This time Sonia took a deep breath and closed her eyes before answering. She said that she had a way to save us from the shapeshifter. But she had a message and a few things she needed to leave with me. After telling me this, she went back outside for a moment, and when she came back, she was carrying 3 large nets. She explained that the nets were for the man that lived up the hill, you, that I was to give them to you as soon as possible. She also said she had thought of a way to keep the shapeshifter from attacking anyone again until you had a chance to deal with him. This revelation puzzled me. I knew for a fact that the lady in the tree couldn't directly attack or harm any creature as part of an oath. Mark stayed silent, deep in thought. I, on the other hand, kept pressing Sonia for answers. So why the fuck didn't you tell me about any of this sooner? This information would have been hanging, I don't know, like a year ago? Sonia flinched as I finished my sentence. Honestly, Cole, I was just scared that if you saw me, you would kick the shit out of me. I guess I can't blame her for that one. I did kick the shit out of Hector right in front of her a couple years ago. Okay. Did she tell you how she planned on doing this? She never got the chance to. Before she could explain any further, we heard screaming along with the sound of ripping metal outside. We rushed out to see a 9-foot-tall Ronald McDonald ripping someone in half while laughing like a madman. The Native American woman looked at me one last time and said, "Make sure to tell Cole that he alone can send these beasts back using those nets. He may not know yet, but he will know what to do when the time comes. The elder spirits will guide and protect him." With that, the Indian woman took off towards the shapeshifter, which was now a giant werewolf. As she got closer, she started screaming some words I didn't understand. She also started glowing blue, which was odd. She finally got the shit. "Just call him Skinny. It's catchier." Sonia seemed kind of annoyed that I interrupted her, but she continued all the same. She got Skinny's attention when she stopped 5 feet in front of him. She was lit up like a blue glow stick at this point. She had stopped chanting and was just standing in front of Skinny trying to catch her breath, when Skinny said, "Well, aren't you different? I've never killed a glowing one before," and proceeded to casually swipe at her with a clawed hand. Indian woman didn't flinch, but when the first claw made contact with her, there was a deafening boom, accompanied by an explosion of what looked like red mist. "Skinny can vaporize people?" I blurted, now a little more wary of my plans to attack the entity. Sonia was quick to set me straight, though. No. She did something to herself with those incantations. Before that point, all Skinny had done was shred people into smaller portions of people. Mark muttered in response. "Probably some curse that she set on herself as a trap so when Skinny attacked her, it would trigger. This would bypass her rule of not being able to cause direct harm to other creatures since, in a way, Skinny cursed himself by attacking her out of his own will. Did anything change about Skinny's behavior after the lady in the tree, you know?" Mark slid his thumb across his throat in a slicing motion. As he finished, he glanced over at me with what looked like pity in his eyes. "Yes, what's your name?" His look of pity quickly turned to a look of annoyance. "Mark," the expert said with a growl. Yes, Mark, his behavior did change. See, after the Indian woman disappeared, it only took a few seconds for Skinny to regain his composure. He almost immediately started laughing, then said, "What the hell was that? A suicide bomber attempt? Pathetic." However, as he lunged to grab yet another one of my sisters, he fell to the ground in writhing agony. He got up and tried again, and again, but each time he attempted to attack someone, he was met with paralyzing pain. "So, the curse that makes it so Skinny can't hurt anyone?" I asked apprehensively. "Because 6 months ago, Skinny smacked the dog shit out of me and almost died?" Not quite. See, the curse has one catch. We found that out when Martin, Cthulhu bless his soul, tried to take advantage of his inability to attack and launched an assault of his own. But when his baseball bat made contact with the creature, he was immediately struck down by a clawed hand. I slapped my palm against my forehead. "Ah, that makes sense. So he can only attack if you attack first. That's why he tries to get us pissed at him. He made it seem like he was trying to lure us outside to disguise the fact that he was actually luring us into attacking him." Both Sonia and Mark looked at me somewhat startled for a moment before Mark spoke up. "Cole, pardon me, but I'm honestly only used to you saying stupid shit, but I think you're actually right this time." I started to argue, but quickly realized he was right. Fuck you, Mark. "So, do I kill or banish Skinny by tossing one of those nets on him and yelling whatever magic word comes into my head?" Wait, how the actual fuck did I know what magic words to use? Sonia answered me with a, "Yeah, I don't really understand that either, but let's just roll with it." Just then I heard Mark say, "What the fuck?" from right behind me. This was odd since Mark had been standing in front of me for a few minutes now. I turned around and, sure enough, there was a second Mark behind me. This meant that either Skinny just walked up pretending to be Mark, or even worse, he had been talking to us this whole time and now knew everything that we knew. Sonia and I both backed away from the marks as they stared at each other in confusion, and then back to me. The mark on the left yelled, "Throw the net on it! Now's your chance to end him!" The other fires back, "No, he's trying to trick you! Throw it on him! Fast!" After a moment of thought, I said, "Okay, so I think I have a way to figure this out. Whichever one of you is the real mark just has to punch the other mark to prove you can attack first." Both marks shouted, "But then he'd kill me!" At this, Sonia whispered in my ear, "Damn, he's good." But I already had knew what my next move was. "Sonia, give me one of those nets." As she handed me one of the nets that was laying on the ground next to her, I started walking towards the marks until I was right in front of them. A wicked grin spread across my face as I said, "All right. Here's the question that only the real Mark would know the answer to. How did I get the tall man to run away?" The mark on the left quickly responded, You cut off a tentacle, but couldn't Skinny have seen that?" I now looked to Mark on the right to see how he planned to respond to the situation. All he did was squint his eyes at me and sigh. Then, in a defeated tone, said, "You took off all your clothes and ran at him naked until he fled." Satisfied by his answer, I slung the net over the top of the leftmost mark's head and yelled the new magic words, "Ekla ha Chalerica!" Not really sure why the magic words that came out of my mouth were different from the ones that came out when I got rid of the baby doll monster, but like Sonia said, I guess we just roll with it. As the runes that were carved into the rocks that outlined the net started to glow red, and Skinny was swallowed by the smoke, I heard him utter, "No fucking way," in a deep voice. Then, as the smoke that swallowed him was blown away by the breeze, he was gone. Pretty anticlimactic, right? I was honestly kinda hoping for some badass battle where he fought to the death and I got to stab him with a magic wooden spear that was like a final gift from the lady in the tree or something, while saying something really cool. But in the end, Skinny was defeated by an immature inside joke. That's it. I mean, yeah, the tall man is still out there somewhere, but Skinny is done. The lady in the tree got her wish. That's all I could really hope to accomplish. Mark was pretty pissed off at me for putting his life on the line and risking sending him to the other dimension on the basis of remembering an inside joke. In response to his anger, I just told him that I had faith in him, and in the end, that's all that mattered. All he said in return was, "Fuck you, I need a beer." I didn't tell him how I really figured out who was real when they both said, "But then he'll kill me," in unison. See, the new Mark that had just walked up shouldn't have known the rules of the curse since he hadn't been there to hear about them. All I can figure is that Skinny had probably been listening in disguise as a cultist and decided to enter the conversation and stop us before we came up with a plan to kill him. I really just wanted Mark to believe that I was dumb enough to put his life on the line for something that Skinny could have easily heard had he been eavesdropping at the right time. Serves him right for basically calling me a dumbass earlier. After Skinny was dealt with, Mark and I shared an uncomfortable couple of goodbyes with the cultists, most of whom hadn't even noticed what had happened, including Hector. Much less appreciate the fact that we just got rid of the single most vile creature that had ever inhabited this land, but I was okay with that. The fact that the lady in the tree's killer was gone for good was enough for me. Some of you are probably asking, wait, if that's all that happened, then why are they both in the hospital? Well, that actually happened when the headquarters of the monster hunting organization that Mark works for summoned both of us to be interrogated about the events that led to the destruction of Skinny, who they knew to be an extremely high-level threat. After all the paperwork and questioning was over, Mark offered to take me out for a drink. I accepted. Long story short, don't drink and drive, kids. They even took up our electronics for the first week we were here. Claimed it was so they could scan them. But I knew it was just punishment for damaging a company-armored SUV. Anyways, that's pretty much it for now. I'll try to keep posting, but now that Skinny's gone, land seems a lot more relaxed. Hope you all enjoyed the tale of how I finally killed Skinny. This is Cole, signing off.
Greetings, friends and fiends. Chronicler here. We here at Creepy Spaghet would like to thank Murderbird17 for allowing us to tell their story. If you enjoyed this story, be sure to subscribe to stay updated on these terrible tales. And be sure to check out the author in the links below. If you're interested in having your story narrated, be sure to reach out to our humble overseer, as he continues his journey to pull the darkest stories from the infinite depths of the internet. Until next time, fiends.